Okay. At window pane, looking at yourself, looking out at ourselves, it seems to be a very powerful, hurtful thing on our selves these days. Doesn't always have to be the case. When we are looking out for each other or we look out the window and what we see is like the song says, broken glass everywhere. People like to just don't care. Yes, the window pane. And this issue I dealt with, and I don't usually have the ability to challenge others as mostly as I challenge myself. And so I got the hook in my mouth this time. Big mouth bass. That bass sound that brings things to life. Yeah. A cup runneth over the vibratory rate. So I'm going to dance to this and challenge, take the challenge and not be, not sit back too much on it. So, because it's not a setback, but the one of the brothers that publishes what's called ADOS, African Descendants of Slavery, challenged the sister Jamel Hill's approach to African and Black HBCUs, and I had, and he was saying that it was something that she doesn't know what she's talking about and all of that, and so to me, it spoke to what I had said because I did that years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago at the most, maybe more than that, and I said the same exact thing, and that actually another brother had done that, Chris Broussard. He had just recently said the same thing, and I posted that short statement that he used. And so one of the brothers who, from African Descendants of Slavery, ADOS, kind of laid some ground on that, kind of said some things about it that are factual. Yes, totally factual. And so I have to give it something because I'm not saying that I'm right about everything, and there are things that we say that people can challenge us on and correct us on, and I'm not too big to be corrected, and I can be corrected on anything, and especially that when it comes to people of color in the situation that we're in, because every one of us are certainly trying to look out for each other. And that organization did publish information with Byron Allen, the Black billionaire, interviewed him, and I was totally impressed with that, and give them much love to that for doing that, and the work that they are putting forth, and the challenges that they have before them in the media, in the way that they do it, because this financial reward that media has for people that is being given in that genre, okay? So let me say that I don't know if I disagree with him on the HBCUs, and yet I felt as if what I published and said, if I truly accept that, then I have to try to see if I can move forward with it or totally scratch it based on someone else's not just opinion, but when even if I say opinion doesn't lower it, but someone else's advanced knowledge into that, because we all look into things in depth when it's said over time you can improve on things. So what he said, I'm sure, is an improvement on the information that we have or do not have. And so I feel as if that I must, if I accept that still totally as I did in the very beginning, then I have to try to recreate that and to make it a part of our lives in the way that it does. Just as the aesthetic value of anything, a child, an infant only is given liquid diets, mother's breast milk, and but as it grows teeth to chew on food, then you're given teeth that comes out of your mouth. And the teeth that grow, only the bottom portion of your teeth move in order to help chew that food. And the plant-based diet is my biggest adjustment to that. To know things and to be able to speak the language, the knowledge of anything, a plant-based diet is the ultimate answer. So I'm coming through that with that. And sports has certainly taken advantage of our African black selves more so than a failed financial reward has. A sports body, a sports performance can be likened to slavery that they are asking reparations for, and we know that I'm totally for that, and I showed reparations in many forms and in the media, as I showed, without even speaking of reparations, but in the news media when Charles Ogletree, who was one of the leading advocates for that, news first, Americans second, when he put those people from the news media up front and asked them a question about a warring situation. It was the narrator of that and the human experience of that. He asked them, if someone was coming to kill the soldiers that you're reporting on, would you be quiet and do the media, or would you alert the army that these people are coming to kill them? And our leading people, Peter Jennings, and he's passed on, and Mike Wallace were the two people, and there were other people there who were in the military or other successful business people and the like that were doing that. So there was something that was very powerful that I used, and I definitely do understand that more so than just a financial burden. But first and foremost, we have been the beast of burden in this country for this country to be enriched, and that American flag is our flag. Truly that, and I agree on that issue. So the sports in which I was relating to, the HBCUs, is just the same as we were used as beasts of burden in this country as slave peoples, okay? And they're not going to tell us this. They're not going to report it. They're not going to save our lives based on what information that they have, because we have David Duke, who has information, who gave the information to a black-owned, so-called black-owned radio station many years ago, telling us who these people were, the names of them, and all of that, so we can move forward in our financial situations, okay? So certainly I understand it in that manner. And in the manner of, in which I was speaking of, is the beast of burden, because these people aren't going to stop playing sports in the psychological aspect, okay, and the psychosis that is there, and the psychiatry that they don't care is a habitual experience. And so in order for us to recognize from a infancy of what actually fed into that, the liquid digestive resource, and that was our physical bodies, in which we know the slaves didn't want to do the work, but they had to do it. And later on, slowly but surely, in that, someone learned how to, we learned how to communicate with one another, different tribes, from different countries, in the area where the so-called slaves came from, and we learned how to deal with it and to get on with our lives some kind of way within the system of slavery, which is a brutal system. Okay? And we've never been a beast of burden. I can say I've never been a beast of burden in that sense. Speaking of Rolling Stones, this rock, this mirror, this me, we have to understand that this aesthetic value has to be placed in there as well. And truly, yes, sitting here pretty in our privileged lifestyle, we can sit behind these microphones, these cameras, and say this financial situation. And if you don't know how to set up these business principles and know who owns these businesses, then you must not know what you're talking about. You must not know what you're doing. Doesn't have to be the case. Okay? And we weren't instantly put in a situation. It took some time for that situation to happen, for this slave situation to happen in this country. And men were brought here first to do the work. Women were not brought, we all weren't brought here all at the same time. A lot of times it was just men so they can do the work themselves. So the sports body that they're using, the slave tag that's put on it, isn't always a derogatory term. If you're going to use a financial upheaval as they're doing today behind the microphones, see, they didn't get a chance, they weren't sitting behind microphones, brother. They were doing the work. So in the fact that to recognize that a so-called historically black college and university, yes, that is the image that is given. And so the start of that is to feed a child the image, because the image of us sitting behind a microphone and a camera and saying our financial situation is what's going to save us, that is not true either. Because they're poisoning the planet. You can have all the money you want to. Asbestos in the Japanese are having a nuclear plant that's about to burst, and nobody's going to have any water to drink, air to breathe, none of that. And we could just have a volcanic eruption, or what happened in this country when a nuclear meltdown happened. So let's look at the big picture of it all as well to see how that goes. And this time has already come up for me. So.